Okay, guys, welcome to Mental It episode 3. Thanks for tuning in. I'm pretty sure you guys saw episodes 1 and 2 by now. And today I have a very, very special guest with us. Yocairys is here. And we've been wanting to have this conversation for quite some time.
Yes.
So we met up like last month over dinner, and she's been telling me and catching me up with what she's been doing. We also met in school, and she's been a really cool friend. And we haven't gotten to see each other or catch up in a long time. And I told her what I was doing, and I said, I want you to come to Mental It because I think it would be such a great idea.
Yes.
So as I mentioned, I've been wanting to speak to you since last month. You opened up to me about something that had happened in your life, but we didn't go into detail.
Yeah.
And then once I told you what I was doing, you was like, oh, let's just like wait for, we got on the couch.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start off slow.
Okay. Yeah, take it slow.
Take it slow.
Take it slow.
Because you're going to have tissue over here, y'all. She's ready to cry.
I stuck it right here.
These are going to be like small little icebreaker questions that I'm going to ask her, so you guys can all get in on the action. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, if you had money and didn't have to work, what would you dedicate your time to most?
Traveling and giving back.
Traveling and giving back.
Yeah, I would travel just to kind of like explore the world and what God created. But I would also love to give back to the people that are in need, families that are broken, kids that don't have what we have here in the United States.
Yeah.
That's
so you
pretty
mean
much it.
like people in like maybe like third world countries?
Yeah, like that are in really bad poverty where they don't even have a government who helps them.
I like that. Shows how humble you are.
Thank you.
Okay, the next question I thought was freaking insane. Like I actually kind of collaborated with this question with someone that I knew, and we came up with it. Is that if you had to have one meal for the rest of your life, what would that meal be?
Hands down, mango con salami.
Oh, Dominican mommy.
I love plantain. Like I love it. Like I can eat that every day. Every day, plantain with salami or steak and like onions. Yeah. But that's my plátanos. That's my thing.
You cannot live without it.
I cannot live without it. No.
I love some sweet plantain.
Yes. Oh, every style fries.
I ain't even eat yet. Yeah. I've been here for a little minute. Okay. If you could cure one disease, what would it be?
If I can cure one disease.
And what would it be and why? Isn't that a good question?
It is a good question. Do they consider depression a disease?
I would say so.
Yeah, so depression.
Why?
Why? Because I feel like it's like a monster to me. Like I feel like people that have cancer, like some people just go through it with the right support. They're kind of like smiling a little more. If God forbid they're going through chemo and they lose their hair, you can buy them a wig. But some people get so deep into depression that nothing can brighten them. Like to the point where they take their lives. So I think that if I can cure anything, it'll be that depression.
I agree. I think that depression is one of those understated things that, it's getting a lot of recognition now, but it is definitely one of those things I think that I would definitely cure as well, being that I experienced it firsthand.
Yeah.
Have you?
I can't be, all right. So I won't say I've ever fell into like a bad depression, but I can say that I've been in a place where I was like lost, and I think before depression could even come knocking at my door, that's when I spiritually opened up my relationship with God. That's when I gave my life to Christ, and I started my spiritual journey at that time. So I say because of Him, because of who I worship, my God, I never experienced anything like that because He's given me the strength to get through everything. So.
And we spoke about our spiritual journeys.
Exactly.
And we just recently spoke about it. I actually spoke about it too on episode 2 with Manny, and we talked about manifestation. And are you someone that believes in meditation?
For me, my meditation is prayer.
Okay.
I've never sat down and listened to sounds. I never really looked into it because, like I said, once I spiritually build it, once I gave my life to Christ and I started my journey, for me, prayer felt like the right thing. So I never felt like I needed something more or different. So yeah, I've done yoga for the exercise, and I've done, I've heard other people that do, other things, and I think it's all great, however you do it. But for me, it's always been just prayer and reading my Bible. Not that I'm perfect at it, not that I do it every day.
Yeah, because I feel like
it's a journey.
Exactly.
It's a journey.
It's everybody, and they have it their own pace. And I was also speaking about this in the last episode. Is I go to church too, but I don't necessarily practice the beliefs of Christianity. But I do love God, and I do believe that God is love.
Yeah, He is.
So that's just where I stand at with in terms of like religion and per se.
I always say that religion is man-made. Because if you think about religion, and we don't have to get into that deep topic, but for me, it's like, there's like Muslims, and then there's Catholics, and there's like all these different religions. And if you think about it, it all brings separation. Because if you sit...
I agree. And that's my problem with it.
Exactly. And if you sit like two different religions in one room, they're like bumping heads. But listen, there's only one God, so why are we bumping heads?
And they all call him a different name.
Exactly, but there's only one.
We can go into
exactly another time.
Like, I don't want to debate with the Christians on the comments.
Yeah, so. No. But overall, like you said, God is love, and that's all that's really what it boils down to. So.
Yeah. The next question. Why you get all tense?
I don't know, because I'm like, what are you going to ask me now?
You get all tense. What is happiness to you, and how do you define happiness?
Happiness to me is like just doing what you feel in your heart. Doing what, like for me, it depends on, doing what other people would say, you're crazy for doing that, or you're like what other people seem to be weird to them, or like they may question it, I wouldn't do that. That's happiness to me, because like whatever I do, different. Right, being different, basically, yeah. Because when I do something, it may be weird to you, but I just love it no matter what it is. Like it could be the weirdest thing.
What makes you happy?
What makes me happy?
Yeah.
Honestly, seeing other people happy. I feel like, I don't know, it's kind of weird maybe, I don't know. But I feel like I know how to make myself happy with that. I'm not a materialistic person. I'm not, like, it's so easy to, like, give me something to be happy about, and that's pretty much seeing other people happy. Like, that's what brings me joy, honestly. Seeing those around me happy makes me happy. Like, genuinely, that's really all it is. Like, it's that simple. Yeah. I
like that, because I think I see joy in seeing people happy as well. And I've recently learned how to also come out of like, making myself happy through self-care, whether it be skincare or like whatever, meditation. Glowing, yeah. You're welcome. But yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
So what is something that people don't worry about but should?
What is something that people don't worry about but should? Wow. I feel like people don't worry about tomorrow. Like, I get it. We should live in the moment. And I'm that person. Like, I've skydived. I've jumped off crazy buildings. And I'm very adventurous. Because I like to live in the moment. Like, what if, But I also am aware that if tomorrow is in God's will for me to be here, am I prepared? So I feel like people get so wrapped up in the moment, and they get so wrapped up in what they're doing that they're not thinking about tomorrow. And it could be something as simple as this. Like, some people get so wrapped up in their careers and chasing their goals, which is a good thing, but they forget about family, and they're like, oh, but I'm busy, I'm building something. And then next thing you know, someone passes away. And I just experienced a loss. So I'm relating that to the fact that, we think that we have all the time in the world to, and time is something we really don't have. We don't measure that. Exactly. So it's like, yeah, get things done, but also remember those around you that you love. Like, don't forget to nurture that too.
Yeah.
So don't forget to nurture other things.
Yes, I love that. That's so important. Where did you grow up, and where's your family from?
So I was born and raised in Brooklyn, and I pretty much was raised in Brooklyn. My parents are from Dominican Republic. So I was, ya tu sabes. So I actually lived in DR when I was like 10, from like 10 to 11. So I lived there for like a year. And it was cool, but, all my life I've been in Brooklyn. I now currently live in Brooklyn still. So I love New York. Like, I love Brooklyn. And I could never, like, I'm like, I will soon be a billionaire. And I'm like, even then, I'm still living in Brooklyn. Like, especially like now Williamsburg, it's beautiful.
I always say that too.
It's beautiful.
I said, like, I'm such a queen boy, like a queens to the heart. I would, like, even if I were to get rich, I don't think I would leave. I just love it.
Yeah.
And then I think that's okay, right?
Exactly.
Like, I'll probably get, like, a beautiful penthouse.
Exactly.
Overlooking the water or
Hello.
something. I don't know.
It's beautiful. I love Brooklyn. I love New York in general. I can never leave. I would always keep a place here no matter what.
Right.
No matter what. Mm-hmm.
So this next question. I remember you telling me early on when we had dinner, we had spoke about a situation that happened to her. And you did. I remember you not wanting to go into detail with it, but you said you would just share it when you got to mental it. And the situation involves going to jail.
Yeah.
So, do you care to share what happened with that event that led you to going to jail at the age of
17
years old? And you were there for all of
5 years.
5 years. So, what were the events that led up to you having to go that route?
All right. So, I've spoken about this before. It's obviously to close friends and family. I've never was exposed to a big platform, but it's life. But at the age of 17, I felt like at a young age, let's say at the age of 13, I just felt from like the age of 13 to 17, like I grew up too fast. And it's not that my mom was a bad mom. My parents, great parents, but my mom gave us a lot of freedom without knowing she gave us a lot of freedom. So I used to watch her and her friends get dressed up and go party. So in my head, I'm like, oh, that's the thing to do. Yeah. Because kids watch what you do and they do the same thing, right? So I just started like hanging out. I just started doing adult things. And then as I got older, I was like, Dad, I never really had a childhood. I never really had because at the age of 14, I'm like, now I need a job. Now I want a job because I want to go party with my friends. So now I need like money and like I want to make money. So I was babysitting kids and like I was like working and like I just got into this whole adult mode at a young age that at the age of 17, I was overwhelmed. I was like, damn, like I felt so much pressure and stress at that point. And I was just on edge. But that's where I was mentally. Like I was just, and then like I felt like I wasn't appreciated because it was like people wanted more of me. And I'm like, I'm 17, I work, I'm independent. What else can I want at this point, And I got so wrapped up in being independent and taking up responsibilities for other people, older people, that I wasn't even focused on school like that. Because I forced myself into adulthood. I don't know why. But anyways, it was this one day. There's a lot to it, but there was this one day. It was this one day, my brother and I got into a really bad argument. And like most siblings, we all get into arguments with our siblings. We never think anything of it. We're just like, oh, whatever, screw you, you screw you. Yeah. And sometimes people get physical with their siblings and they think, oh, we're just gonna fight. We'll go to sleep tomorrow, we'll wake up, it's nothing. You know what I mean? But for me, unfortunately, it was a nightmare. My brother and I got into a bad fight. He picked something up. He was a little older than me, 3 years older than I, and much stronger. And he picked up like this like dog chain that we had, and he started like hitting me with it. And then like we were just like fighting, he had the upper hand. So I picked up a knife, and I was like, if you don't leave me alone, like I'm gonna use it. But I was saying that to scare him, and multiple, like, I heard so many people like say, oh, I've picked up knives before to scare people away from me and they would leave me alone. Or, and, people that fought and argued with their own siblings, like, oh, I've hit my sibling with a chair before. And like, so in my head, I'm like, okay, maybe this will work. Maybe this will stop the fight. But unfortunately for me, it was just like, it was it, and it happened so fast that, like,
you can't really recount, like,
it happened way too fast. So, we were fighting and I picked up the knife and I was like, God, leave me alone. And like he just came at me, and like I just reacted like this is literally what my hand did, literally. And he just stood there, he held his neck, he walked to the front, he sat on the porch, and he just sat there. And then I called my dad and I said, Dad, I just stabbed Frankie. I said, me too. But I said, please come. And then my dad was rushing to the house. And then my other brother was there, and they called the ambulance. And he went in the ambulance, and he died upon arrival to the hospital. And I didn't believe it, because my brother and I were like best friends. And that was my older brother, so everything he did, I did. When I started cutting school, it was because he taught me how to. When I started smoking weed, because I used to smoke weed, he taught me how to. When everything, it was him. So when I found out he passed away, I didn't believe it. So I told my dad, I said, Dad, can you go to the hospital and see if this is true? And my dad went, and he confirmed it. And I still didn't believe it. And I was sitting in my best friend's house, which was a block away from my house. And the cops came to get me. And I was like, this is really real. And I still didn't believe it even after I went to prison. Like, I went to jail and stuff. I was like in Rikers Island for like a week. And then his funeral came. It was time for his funeral. And even when I went to the funeral, they allowed me to go. I saw him there, and I still didn't believe it. I thought my dad, like, I don't know why I thought my dad had so much power to create this whole prank to get me arrested so we could stop fighting. Really didn't believe it. But
you got into real deep denial about like having this
because
be so true.
I never thought, because I love to love people. So when that happened, I just felt like a monster. And I didn't want to believe that that's something that happened that I did, you know? And even though it wasn't intentional, that wasn't my intent. And I know I didn't do that with no malice, which is why I only did 5 years, because no one was against me. My family supported me so much, but I still didn't feel like I deserved it, because I felt like, you know?
Yeah, like how could you support me when I just,
you know,
took your son.
But then that's why I say I gave all the glory to God, because it was only because of him. Because human nature, you're like, oh, this girl is, no, we can't deal with her, turn our backs from her. But God allowed forgiveness in their hearts, understanding in my heart to tell me, like, God knows my heart, and my brother knows my heart. Like, when I first dreamed about my brother, he, like, came to me in my dream. He had no wounds. My brother was going through a lot, and he was drowning in his, like, own mess. Yeah. But in the dream, he came to me. He was like, I'm fine. Stop crying. I'm actually happier now. So, in other words, I just feel like he came to me, and he's at peace with me, because he knows that wasn't my intention. And that's why when people hear what I've been through, they don't believe it, because they're like, you don't see that.
I would never paint that picture that's exactly what. First of all, just to comment on what you just said, I never heard this story full force, like the way that she just presented it just now. I just knew little bits and pieces of it. And I have so much admiration for you for being so open with that and sharing this on this. I mean, I think sometimes I don't even realize what I'm doing. I feel like I'm, in a way, possibly transforming people's lives, and I feel like giving you this platform as well. This is not just for me, this is for you guys, and this is for everyone to see. And I'm so proud of you for allowing yourself to come and say that.
Thank you so much.
Because it's not easy.
Thank you. It's not. And it's like, it's been 8 years now. So it's gotten a lot easier to be able to talk about it when I'm comfortable. So, some people, like, sometimes people ask me about it, and I may talk about it, and I may not even cry, and they're like, why she's not crying? Like, they expect that. But that's because I just recently forgave myself. I'm now recently getting, like, more peaceful with who I am and what I am. And I'm now fully accepting that, yeah, you know what? Everyone's love, everything that I'm receiving, I do deserve it, because God said so. Because if it wasn't, he wouldn't give it to me. He wouldn't allow it. So all the love that I receive, people are like, yo, I can't, like, when they hear what I've been through, they're like, it doesn't add up. She gets so much love. People love her. Doesn't even know what happened to her. And it's like, yeah, my family knows.
Did you have full support from everyone in your family?
Full support. Wow. Like, not one soul turned their back on me. Not one. Not one. My dad, that man is my rider. My mom was great too, but my dad, I saw an intense, like, that man came out like a lion. Like, he was fighting for me. He was fighting for me. He didn't want me to do any time at all. And I was like, Dad, in the matter of 3 months, they offered me 5 years. I was facing life. So I was like, this is good. I'm taking it.
So how did that happen, that they decided 5 years and not life?
Because the family support, every time I went to court, I had like 30 plus family members in the courtroom, supporting me, speaking to lawyers, speaking to district attorneys, saying basically, this girl she's not like, these young teenagers who's angry and abusive and like wanting to cause chaos. This is like an honest mistake. And my everyone knew my relationship with my brother. We were inseparable, you know what I mean? So it was just a shocking for everybody. It was something shocking for everyone. So, within 3 months, the DA is like, listen, your family loves you. You have so much support. And as a mom, myself, I see how much your parents are hurting. They just lost one. They don't need to lose another one to the system, especially because when everything happened, like, usually when they do cases like murder charges and stuff like that, they look at the intensity of the crime. So like if someone was shot, okay, if you shot somebody one time and they died, you can say, okay, maybe, whatever, I don't know, I pressed the button by mistake, I don't know. Yeah. But like if a person shot 5 times, you meant to do that. You meant to kill the person.
Exactly, that's intentional.
Exactly. So like with my brother, it was like the penetration of the knife wasn't even deep.
You can tell that
it was like literally the tip. It wasn't
forcefully done.
So it basically punctured like a little artery or something he had there. But he internally bled. If he would have got to the hospital faster and they would have drained it out, he passed away from a cardiac arrest. So it was like, they got lost on their way to the hospital. It was a lot to it.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a lot more to it. But I'm not blaming anyone. Regardless of what I always said, I had no right, no matter who it was or what I felt. I'm not God to determine who goes and who stays, regardless of what fear I was trying to place in them, So I took responsibility of my actions, and, unfortunately it led to that. But, thank God my family were there for me, and that helped me throughout the journey. And that's why I'm where I am today, honestly, because of them and God.
And would you say that was like your ultimate low?
Yeah, I would say that. I would say that's as low as I could go,
Wow.
Yeah.
And that begs the next question. So with having that going through that situation, what is your biggest fear?
Now? Not keeping the promises that I made to my parents. I feel like
promises that you made to them.
I feel like because I was the reason why they lost my brother, my actions were the reasons, I want to say. And they lost me for 5 years. I feel like I owe them so much. And the promises that I made to them was, I don't, my parents are young. My father's 45, my mom is 48. My dad's 46, my mom is 48 actually. And I told them that I don't want them to work anymore. They work. They work. My mom works 6 days a week. My dad is like still figuring life out. And I just want them to rest. I want them to travel the world. And I just want to give them that much. The life that they wished for when they were 20, 30 years old. When they were out working hard for us to make sure we had a roof over our head and clothes on our backs and food on our table. So I want to give them that. I want to give them that early retirement. As soon as possible before they turn 50.
So family is a big, big thing for you.
Yeah, it always has been, but now more. Because more than anything, because everyone knows what happened. And now I feel like I live for 2 people. So I feel like my brother dwells in me, and so I feel like when I do things, I gotta go, instead of going hard times 1, I gotta go times 2, so yeah, that's really what, I promised to them, as far as just getting them in that place where they're like, not that anything will replace that void, but just joy.
Making them more comfortable overall, just in life.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I think that's what we all look for with our parents. Especially me too. I definitely look for making my mom very, very proud. I think a lot of times when I was younger, and she'd be like, "You need to do this, you need to do that." When we're kids,
we're like, "All right,
you're doing the most.
All right, mom."
But now looking at it, I see that she was really like my number 1 fan, even still today.
Great.
So moms will always be their children's number 1 fans.
That's so true.
And I now realize that at such a much older age, and I really appreciate my mom more than anything now.
Me too.
So
I agree.
It's really true what they say about parents.
It's so true.
It's so true.
Talk about it.
The next question is, what is a question, right, that you wish more people would ask you?
What is a question that I wish more people would ask me? Wow, that's a good one. Right? What is the question I wish more people would ask me?
That's a good one.
Dang. Wow. Oh, maybe. Oh, why are you so forgiving? I know that's a weird question, but I'm very forgiving. And a lot of people always like, you forgive too much, but they never say, why do you forgive too much? Or why do you forgive so much? Why is it easier for you to forgive?
And why do you?
Because I feel like when you hold on to things, you're really hurting yourself. Because that person's like, if they cause hurt on you, they're like, oh, in their own world. So you're really holding yourself captive. I just feel like it's another prison. And after doing time, and I actually gained that characteristic, that attitude of forgiveness, through like doing time, during doing time and like going through my spiritual journey, growth before I got to that place.
Exactly.
And now I understand the value of it because you when you don't do that, you're like really in a prison because you're like, if you see that person,
you're
like,
in a mental prison.
Yeah, because
like inside your own body.
Exactly.
Literally.
And it takes up so much energy. Like if you see the person you didn't forgive, you're like, shoot, I gotta walk to the right. That's a bunch of energy when you can still keep going straight.
Yeah.
Or like, you walk in a building and they're there and you're like, dang, let me just walk this way.
You get all bent out of shape
when you see
them.
Too much. It's too
good.
much. So it's like, listen, people gonna do you wrong. I just posted something on Instagram. I was like, it's a Mother Teresa post. And I was like, I consider myself the new Mother Teresa. Because she's like, yo, people are gonna talk about you, love them anyway. People are gonna judge you, do what you wanna do anyway. People are gonna criticize, like just because at the end of the day, it's not between you and them, it's between you and God anyway. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I do it for me, really. And don't get me wrong, it's not that I'm like, immortal and nothing hurts me. Mm-hmm. I get hurt very, like, because I love hard. So
exactly.
I'm
the same way.
You know what I mean? So it's like, but I'm just as good with forgiving because if I was forgiven from my family for what happened with me, I'm like, whatever you did to me wasn't that deep. You just hurt my feelings. I cried a little bit. I'm fine. It's all right.
So you found a new meaning
behind, exactly.
For you.
Exactly. So I think people asking me that question would allow them to maybe have a different idea or interpretation, or maybe just give them a little bit of more insight on, okay, maybe I should consider looking at it that way.
And last question, who is one? Well, actually, no, I'm not going to ask that one. How do you define your life?
Wow. How do I define my life?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you want to know, like, in one word? Or, like...
You can give an explanation, one word, and just, like, a synopsis of how do you define your life? Like, what, if someone would say, what is your life about?
Oh, gosh. Really, honestly, I feel like I was, no kidding, I feel like I was put in place in this world to serve people. Like, everything I do, I find a way to serve people. Like, I'm here now, and I feel like we're serving people. Because we never know what we're going to do for someone else. I never think, it's never about me. I never think it's about me. So I feel like my life is about other people. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense.
I don't think it's about me.
I'm doing mental it because I feel like there's no other way that I could do this project if I didn't think I was going to make a change in someone else's life from seeing this. Exactly. I couldn't do it selfishly. Like, I just need to do this for myself because I want to be popular. I'm not like that. I'm just naturally a loving person for people. Mm-hmm. That's why I invite people to the couch and I want them to be transparent and like open about their feelings. So I'm the same way. That's
awesome. I think it's important. When you're selfless, it's life is so much better.
That's the word.
Yeah. When in the moment, sometimes people may not appreciate it. People may not view it and be like, oh, that girl, oh wow, that girl she'll put me before her. Like even relationships, like, people may not appreciate it in that moment, but when their back is against the wall, when they have nothing else, they're gonna remember that love you gave them or that whatever you gave them. It comes back. And it may just get them out of whatever funk they're in when they're in that, or they may, what? I remember that person. Let me call them. Yeah. And someone like me, you could call me 5 years later after hurting me, and I'm just like, all right, what's wrong? What do you need?
Yeah, because
I'm there. Exactly, and I'm
there.
That's
a big thing. Mm-hmm. I want to leave you with one thing. I want you to actually say something to that camera over there, to the viewers that's going to be watching this. And I want it to come, obviously it's going to come from the heart. Mm-hmm. But whatever you're feeling at this moment, do not alter it. Just say whatever it is that you want to say to whoever is watching this that might be going through a similar ordeal.
Okay. Similar ordeal.
Or just in general.
In general? Mm-hmm. I'll tell you this, guys. Don't ever allow someone to make you feel like being who you are is a bad thing. Like, my whole life, like every relationship I've been in, especially like relationships, like people have always made me feel like there was something wrong with me because, oh, you're too affectionate, or you're too much of this, or you're too that. Like, and I'm like, no, for the right person, I won't be too much. So in general, like, don't change who you are for anyone. The good things, because we all got some crazy ways.
You got some toxic traits you can change.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But no, seriously, like, you know, and I honestly, like, nurture everything that you care about in life. You know, like, there's different plants in this world, right? Like, there's plants you water once a week. No, there's plants you water once a day, once a week, plants you water every month. So in life is the same thing with your relationships, with your business, with your personal life, your social life. Water everything. Like, don't forget to, you know, if you have 4 plants, don't forget to water the 4th plant because you're so wrapped up in number 1, 2, and 3. Ooh. You know, every plant needs watering and nurturing because it's not going to grow. You can't expect plant 4 is my favorite. But if you don't water it the way it needs to be watered, Amen. It's not going to grow, and guess what? It's going to die. And when it dies, you're like, damn, plant 4 is dead, and you're going to be broken because now it's gone. So if you care about the things in your life, always remember to make time to water everything. Everything needs nurturing. Your business, your family, your relationships, friendships, social life, everything. You. So that's what I'll leave you guys with.
Ooh, I like that's a good way to wrap it up. Damn.
You know how to get it where it hurts.
I know. Mike Tyson does real quick. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 3 of Mental It with Yocairys. I thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. No, thank you. It's been a pleasure. I was so nervous, but you know, I had a rough week.
I know.
But you know what? I was like, you're doing a great thing. So I pushed past serving people, pushed past my issues, became real selfish and said, you know what? It's not about me. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
that
you
means
so much. Yes.
Thank you guys
I love
for watching. You. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.